You guys start.
Yeah, well, Julie, I mean, like when I read the script, a lot of her was there from, and then kind of how it's written, but then also, I think talking to Mike, we kind of explored her more and kind of and found out so much more about her. And Mike said, you know, I think she's based off of like girls that he knew growing up and things. You know, who were older than him and would kind of, you know, these girls that would come to his room like drunk, and he'd really have those experiences, like kind of smelling their smelly breath, like they're so hot but they're also so dirty, like physically dirty. So we made that a thing, like we can never get enough like oil in Julie's hair because she just, you know, she has too many things to do. She's like, you know, and she's also she lies a lot, you know. She has this very studious side, you know, that she shows to the parents, but then also this whole other side to her that she, you know, she's very promiscuous and with a lot of boys, and but I think that she kind of thrives on keeping those things secret, you know, like those secrets keep her going. And because I like being in high school and, you know, all of my girlfriends, like I related to her in certain ways a lot of, you know, you have girls who, you know, they sneak out, or a lot of stories, and I've never gotten to really play a girl like that really, she just felt like a true, you know, that's how it is. And also her mother being a therapist, which is so messed up, you know, that she's like, she's in these groups with her mother, and so her mom kind of knows all their secrets, but she has to keep things hidden, and that was, I don't know, it was just great to get that. And we also played this like game, I remember, or something, where I had to like say 2 lies and a truth, and then, but I, as Elle, like we were doing rehearsals, and so I had to make sure, because Julie's so good at lying, that it was like, did I pass the test of, did I, you know.
She was really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was really cool.
Also a question for Annette.
It's really interesting for me to listen to Elle speak because, as you can see, well, Elle's done a lot of movies. We actually did another film together, so I knew you. And I found I can very much learn from Elle because you can see her personality is very different than the personality of Julie. And I mean, both of us, we like to have a good time. We laugh a lot. She's the most hilarious laugh, and she, you know, such a joyous person, but also so intuitively skilled. So that's the task as you get older, is to just maintain that sense of the intuitive, instinctive connection that you have to the material is the most important thing, and all the intellectual, discursive thinking stuff is less valuable unless it gets you to a moment that has some sort of life to it. The relationship between these 2 characters I also found very interesting and unique, and I agree with you that the writing of all 3 of the women, Greta's not here, too bad, because she's so amazing, and her character and the history and the experiences that she goes through are so, none of them have any cliches in them, none of these women. And for a teenage girl to be so complex and to be explored in such a specific, interesting way, so great. So, yeah, and the fact that we have this relationship, which is not an easy one. It doesn't fall into any of those sort of traditional mentor, idealized, you know, kind of a thing. It's somewhat awkward. And yet, I know that I felt that Dorothea did see her pretty clearly. And then, of course, it turns out she sees Dorothea, I think, more clearly than Dorothea even sees herself. She's very instinctive and very right on the money to a degree about what's going on inside of Dorothea, because I didn't see Dorothea as being an introspective woman. So,
Well, the women, it ends up, these women's bodies and souls and psyches, it starts for me back in memory, and the Dorothea character is a lot of my mom, so it comes from trying to make a portrait of her and trying to remember her correctly. And then Elle's character, I had a girlfriend whose mother was a therapist, and we would go to group therapy and beat a wood stump on the magazine. That's not enough to make a whole character, but it's a start, right? And I did have these girls who would have much fancier, much headier times, and then come to my place and talk about it, you know? And so I start with these nuggets, and I really like starting with something I find to be quote unquote real, or something that's outside of my imagination, right? I'm trying to capture something I'm observing. And then to augment Elle's character, I interviewed a bunch of women friends of mine who were that age in 1979. So like when she says her first period, that's one great friend of mine, it's period, menstruation. And then when she talks about her first time having sex, that's my other great friend's first time having sex. So I sort of had a slight reporter journalistic approach to writing Elle's character. And then the funnest part was when me and Elle met, and we started talking about it, and I would say, I don't know how we got into this, but I'd be like, we're talking about some scene, and I go, what does Julie think of that? And Elle's just like, damn, well, she thinks blah, 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 and she'd have an answer. And you can't do that with everybody, and I don't know what made me try to do it, but like, dang, she's good at that. Like, she can just sort of magically inhabit that person's feelings, right? So then we really enhanced her feelings, and Elle told me some stuff from her life when I incorporated that into the script. So I'm very much trying to like base everything on real women. And one of my favorite things that Elle says at the end is like, Jamie's saying something like, you know, I love you and I understand you or something. And she's like, no, that's your version of me, that's not me. You know, like I want this. And I was trying to sort of state this thing that's like, yes, ultimately I'm straight, white, cisgendered male guy trying to write about women, and I can only go so far, and I'm on the outside looking in, you know. So I was trying to make those limitations of my perspective part of the story, you know.